Hi everyone, this is the tutorial for That's Just the Way It Is Babe. My name's Billy from Piano and Pies. Let's get stuck straight in. Just before we start, it's worth noting that the track is in a drop tuning. What I mean by that is every string is dropped down half a step. For the sake of you watching and the sake of me playing, I'm going to keep this in standard. If you were to play in standard along with the track, it's going to sound horrendous. So yeah, you would need to just drop down everything half a step. So the E string would become an E flat, the A would become an A flat, and the D would become a D flat, and so on. So this is in standard. If you want to play the track, drop it down half a step. Anyway, the song starts off with two chords. A G chord, which is 3 on the E string, 2 on the A string, 0, 0, 0 on the D, G and B, and then a 3 on the top. That's the first chord we're going to need. The second chord we're going to need is a type of C major chord that's slightly different. It's slightly voiced in a different way. It's more of a C major 7 chord. What we're going to do is play 2 on the A string, 3 on the D string, 0 and 0 on the G and B, and then 3 on the high E. Basically, it's like the G shape, but we drop those 2 fingers down a string each. So you see here, those 2 fingers on the G, drop down, and there we go, we've got that new C major chord, the C major 7. So the hardest part about this is the rhythm of the chords and how we strum it, because it's a little bit awkward at times, let's say. Thankfully though, it starts off with that G chord, and we have... And what they tend to do is go from the low bass notes to the high chords like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the kind of got the higher strings on the ands and the lower strings on the 1 and the 2 and the 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... We then go to that C shape for the same amount of times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then, this is where things get a little bit awkward. At the start of the next part, it goes from a G chord straight to a C chord. So putting those 3 bars together, we have this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see I went from the G straight to the C. Bit of a strange thing, but that's what they do. And then in the 4th bar, it gets a bit more strange. We've got G to C to G. So he's going back and forth with these chords. And then has one more bar of G, C and G. So that full introduction, back and forth, goes like this. And that is the introduction. The next part of the song is the verse, where it follows the same idea, apart from that last little bit just gets cut off. I'll play it through. So when the vocals kick in, we have G, C, G to C, then the G, C, and G. Now that happens through 2 times before they move to the next part of the song. The next part is the chorus, which has tons of new chords. Now it's worth mentioning that if you are wanting to write this down, then to save yourself a bit of time and potentially making a mistake, you can head on over to Patreon. There's a tier for just a couple of dollars where you get the chord chart as well as the lyrics and the chords matching up, so you don't end up making a mistake. I've made sure that everything is absolutely spot on, so check that out. Anyway, let's crack on with the chorus, which is a C. We get a very common set of chords here, C major, then this C/B chord, which is 2 on the A string, 0, 0 on the D and G, 1 on the B, and an open E string. And we play a 1, 2, A minor. And that is for the rest of the bar. And A minor is open A, 2, 2 on the D and G strings, 1 on the B, then open E. So just to play that slowly, we get this. We then get an almost direct repeat, C, slash B, A minor. We then get a D slash F sharp. I call that the Ed Sheeran chord because he uses it almost in every song. So your thumb has to join over the top to get to this F sharp, so it's a bit of an awkward one. If you find that too hard, just play a regular D major, which is open A string, 2 on the G, 3 on the B, 2 on the high E. Yeah, without, doesn't really matter. So to play that part, we've got, and then we go to G's and C's again. And that ends the chorus. So we start getting a bit of repetition at this point. The second verse is exactly the same as the first verse, which is all those G's and C's. That happens 2 times. We then have the chorus type part again, exactly the same as before, except there's 1 extra bar of G major, randomly. But yeah, that should be pretty straightforward. However, we then get to the bridge. Now the bridge is different. So we have an E minor chord. So yeah, more chords to remember, so maybe that PDF on Patreon might help. So E minor is 0 on the E string, 2, 2 on the A and D, and then 0, 0, 0 on the bottom 3 strings. And what we do is go from E minor to D major like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then G. C. Then the quick change from G, C. Then we have E, D, C. Now, everything I've just gone over there, you then repeat, and then it has a C chord to G. And that'll get you through the bridge. So yeah, lots of things to remember. Next, there is a chorus, but it's slightly different. What happens is that C slash B and the A minor part, we repeat 4 times. Then on the 5th time, we add in that D with the F sharp. You know that one with the thumb? So 4 times round without that chord, and then once with that chord. It then continues back to the G's and the C's like we have in the previous choruses. So that is that part. However, there is one more part. Oh, lots to think about. There is an outro. Thankfully, that's just back and forth with G and C. And the way they play with the strumming, kind of sometimes finger picks, sometimes uses the plectrum just to get in some extra melody notes. Things like this. So you can see sometimes when I'm strumming a chord, I'll then pick some of the notes of that chord. The left hand isn't changing, the chord hand. And it seems to be a little bit kind of not random, but a little bit different every time. So feel free to experiment with just coming up with some different notes. As long as that chord is correct, you can't go wrong with what notes to play. It will sound good. And that will get you through the full song. Whew, it's like a marathon, that song. So if that was in any way useful, please like and subscribe. I've worked really hard on getting through these videos recently, so yeah, please comment as well if you can. Now, the chords and the lyrics and the chords matching up, available on Patreon, link in the description for that. However, thank you very much for watching. I genuinely appreciate it. So I shall see you in the next video. Bye.